Hey, welcome back to Wicked Smart Golf, aka Wicked Smat. This is your host, Michael Leonard, and this podcast is committed to helping you play better golf without changing your swing. Today, I'm really excited to bring back on James Berry. He's the author of The College Golfer. I guess I will say two-time professional golfer and mental game coach. James, thanks so much for being here, man.
Yeah, no worries, man.
It was a ton of fun the first time. Your story is one of one. I feel like you went pro, went back to college, got your eligibility, dominated the college golf, and then went back pro. Now a mental game coach. What's the 60-second summary of how that all went down?
Boy, man. Well, I think I was one of those guys who had a lot of talent and zero understanding of what it actually was going to take. And like again, I think we talked about it the first time, but I grew up in the 90s, right? So like we had no internet. And I was in northern Michigan. So we had access to some coaching, but it wasn't like elite coaching. And so I had no idea how to do any of it. I just knew I wanted to be like a tour player. And so when I was 19, I just decided to forego the entire college experience and like move to Florida, find a mini tour to play on. Did that, and then like, yeah, it was just I did everything the wrong way right from the start. I was actually able to go back to college though later in my 20s. Had a great experience doing that, and then turned pro again. And like I still was missing that final piece, which eventually became course management. Now we have all of this great information on course management, but that's really the piece that I was missing later in my like in my early 30s when I went back again. But here we are, like what you know at the time. And yeah, if I could just take this brain and put it, in a younger version of myself, I think we'd been in a different place. But that's just the way it goes.
You're kind of doing that though with your content, with your book. That's obviously how we connected, and I'd love to go through some more of that. And honestly, the one I was re-listening to our interview just to make sure we had some new topics today because I knew we could go a lot of different directions. But the one thing I still wanted to kind of figure out, you mentioned that you were really not letting go. Like you feel like you weren't able to swing your best under pressure and like let go. I know you've done a ton of personal development and course management. Worked with so many different coaches and players and stuff. What would you say? Do you feel like you were able to find that one thing that did let you, swing freely on the course, or was it just that desert golf, or what would you kind of say was maybe holding you back from playing that kind of free golf that leads to the lowest scores?
Yeah, man. In the moment, it was the pressure of it was the financial pressure. It was the pressure of having an opportunity to walk through the door, so to speak, of what you wanted to do in life, that
Mm-hmm.
dream and all that. And so like I had a lot of things that were what I would say it was perceived pressure more than anything. It was just, you're just living your life out there, but
Mm-hmm.
zero extra money, like no margin for, no margin for error. So I felt like I could do it while being a little bit more protective and
Mm-hmm.
not, kind of wasting shots. Like again, I didn't even have any sort of understanding really of proper course management at the time. So I thought that I thought I could work my way around the golf course well enough, make enough cuts, make enough money, get to Q school that without being, aggressive, ultra aggressive. But I was just telling myself a story, man. I just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, I was just, I hate to say afraid, but maybe fear was the big one, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was fear that was holding me back a little bit just because you didn't want to lose your opportunity, right? You're finally there. You've worked so hard to
Mm-hmm.
get there. And it's like, okay, now I'm here. I got to protect this sort of, this one opportunity that I have. I have to protect it. And that's exactly the opposite thing that you have to do, for sure. Like that's exactly the exact opposite of how you compete with really good players who are doing this, the opposite thing that you are. They're letting it go. They're being super
Mm-hmm.
aggressive. Not reckless. They're just being super aggressive. They're playing the game that, has gotten them to that point as opposed to just trying to hold it together, right? I mean, so yeah, I mean, I've learned that eventually over the years, and now I just don't care, right? So if I go to the golf course and I'm playing in anything, I don't care. I really
Mm-hmm.
don't care, right? I have kids now, I have a wife, I got all this stuff going on. I get it, right? Like I have the perspective now. Look, it's like you're playing around a golf. You know the only way you're going to play well is if you just rip it, right? You just got to let it go. You have to. Like we already know what happens when you don't do that, right? All sorts of bad things happen. So that's perspective, but it can be taught though, right? You can teach somebody that at an
I was gonna
early.
say, let's because I know everyone's felt it, right? Let's say you're gonna maybe shoot under par for the first time or break 80 for the first time. So someone's listening right now and they're trying to get past that plateau and they feel like they're starting to guide it. What would you tell them to think about during the round, or if they notice they're playing with fear and not freedom?
Yeah, you just have to have a system in place, right? That's why we talk about a systems constantly. And I'm so
Hmm.
sick of talking about it at this point because everybody talks about it, a process, you got to be committed, you got to do all this stuff. It's like we've way overdone it. The pendulum has swung way too far with all of this, all of this sort of monologue about this. It's like if you and I were playing catch, I would just say, dude, just hold up your mitt. Give me a target, and I'm just going to throw it. Now, I'm fully committed to that, right? I see your mitt. I'm totally committed. I don't have to think about being committed. I don't have to tell myself, like, okay, dude, you really have to think about hitting that target. It's like we way overthink it in golf, but we also have a lot more on our mind in the moment. There's pressure. We put all this stuff on ourselves, especially if you're trying to break a PR or whatever that is. So you got to have a little bit of a protocol in place there, and you got to practice that,
Hmm.
right? So like you got to know, hey, if I'm feeling pressure, what do I have to rely on here? All right. So then in practice, like you take a block of time and you go, okay, this is my practice time for when I'm really feeling pressure. What am I going
Hmm.
to do? All right. Well, I have a pre-shot. I have these things that I think about when I'm swinging. I'm either target focused or I'm feel focused or whatever it is. And you work that over
Hmm.
and over and over and over. So it's just automated. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And so then when you're in that moment, and you're like, I'm not, I'm sort of, I'm out of my mind here a little bit. I don't know what's not supposed, what am I supposed to think about in this moment? I feel pressure. Well, you have something that you can fall back on. That's the key. Like
Hmm.
you have to work on that. Like it has to be something that's a skill. You have to train it.
So with the like you said, kind of carving out some time for practice, like is there any ways you've found that work with simulating pressure in practice?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so you would just like set up a drill. Like if you're just hitting a driver, set up your window on the range, right? You have
Hmm.
try to find a 60-yard wide window and then something in between that, right? Like maybe 20 yards. So that you could try to hit through that. So that's the game, right? And
Hmm.
maybe you're keeping track, you're trying to beat a certain score. And then
Okay.
when you're doing that, what are you thinking about during execution? Are you target oriented? Are you feel oriented? This is a really big deal because this is the part
Hmm.
that gets people. Like you do all this work on the range, you're kind of mindless, you're hitting it through the target over and over again. Then you get on the course and you're like, I have no idea what I just did. Like, well, in that moment when you execute, like what are you thinking about? Because if you just held up a mitt and I'm just going to hit the target, well, I'm totally target oriented with you, right? I'm
Hmm.
just trying to hit the mitt. I don't have to think about anything else. I'm just looking at the mitt. So some people can do that, right? Some people can look out to a target and hold that picture in their mind. I'm not really good at that.
Okay.
I'm way better off with a feel orientation, right? So, like when I take practice swings, especially full swing, I want to feel what it's going to feel like for the ball to come off the face 3 or 4 or 5 times. I
Okay.
just do this back and forth, right? Like I'm trying to feel that. And then I get up, take one look at the target, and the entire time I'm swinging, I'm just trying to, as I'm hitting the ball, I'm trying to get that feel off the face. And it really works for me, dude. It really has brought, solid contact back much more consistently than it was, for sure. So that's what I have to think about on the golf course too. Like if you have something strong like that, what else are you going to be thinking about?
Mm.
Right? So train that, train that, train that. Train the pre-shot up to that point where you are going through your target selection, all that stuff, and then really work on that target orientation and the field orientation. Then you have something solid.
I couldn't agree more, man. I'm the exact opposite. I'm a Target guy, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny. I never even would have thought about that until I guess started talking a little bit different about like playing like your personality and learning your visualization style. Like I'm so glad you brought that up, though. It's just I don't think enough people, like you said, you just get kind of mindless on the range, and then all of a sudden you're wondering why it doesn't translate. So that's actually a really good game too. So you're trying to do 60 yards wide because with our decade chart, that's kind of the dispersion for should you hit driver or not, and then basically you're just trying to narrow that down and then just do one shot. Are you recommend people kind of going through the routines or doing
Yeah.
anything else to get that heart rate activated?
For sure, the routine, and then you got to. I mean, I think the best way to do that is to do that drill a few times, figure out what a good score for you is, and then try to beat that score. And
Love it.
then everybody's different, right? So you might, if you don't beat the score, you got to do the drill again. If you don't beat the score, maybe you do 50 push-ups.
Love it.
Whatever it is.
Hmm.
But you give yourself some sort of target to hit, right?
Hmm. Perfect, man. That's a great segue into the first thing I actually want to talk about from your book. Excuse me, that we did not talk about a lot, and I think I actually included this exact quote from you in my third book because it's all about tournament golf. It's just about discipline, and I love that section so much in your book because you kind of break down discipline into goals, decision making, and your willingness to sacrifice.
Mm.
So obviously discipline's a D in the decade principles, which me and you are big fans of as well. So talk to us about discipline. How do you develop it, and how does that play a role from the moment you wake up till the moment you go to sleep, obviously including golf?
Yeah, discipline is. I like to think about it as, and this may sound cliche or cheesy, but it is like the truest form of self-respect, right? Because if you are a disciplined person, that means you are serving future self, and you are foregoing whatever it is that may be more fun right now. for a better outcome later on down the road, right? So that's
Hmm.
just the overarching, like, that's how I see it. I don't see it as a switch to be flipped. I don't see it as something magic. Everybody has the ability to make a decision to do something difficult that's going to be, beneficial for them down the line. That's just being disciplined, man. And there's just so many great examples of it now because we have social media and you see people, but really it's the normal people that you need to be taking. Don't look at Goggins. Don't look at these other dudes who have already done it. Look at the dudes right now, yourself included, who are coming up and doing whatever they're doing that just keep showing up, right? You just keep showing up and you keep doing the hard work. And eventually you're just going to wake up one day and be like, damn, I can't believe like, I have a pile of things that I've gotten done here. It's really just amazing. And that goes for, I mean, that's just a simple life lesson, right?
Hmm.
But I mean, in the context of playing college golf, yeah, it's really tough because you have so much other stuff going on. There's teammates that you have to sort of fit into a hierarchy with, and are you the guy that's going to keep pushing the envelope, or is there somebody else who's the harder worker, or are you the freshman that's going to get, a bunch of shit from your teammates if you're outworking them? It's tough.
Hmm.
But like at some point you have to make a decision. Like I'm either going to go for this or I'm not. And you just have to kind of forego whatever that other stuff is that's going to happen to you if you decide to be the guy. And yeah, you're going to have to make some sacrifice. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, I
But
thought I thought you broke that down really well in your book too, just like having a three-part like system. Like if you don't have the right goals, you're not going to have the like you have to get clear on it, and then like you said, be making good decisions, and obviously you do have to sacrifice to achieve things. You can't just get things for free or instant or overnight. Like you have to put in the work. I thought your goals was really good because I think in our last interview you said you have to basically kind of rearrange your life for your golf goals. So like let's say someone has a good goal but their discipline's lacking. They say they're going to speed train, they don't. They say they're going to work out, they say they're going to practice, they don't. They don't. What is maybe one or two ways you tell them just to get some like kind of quick wins so that way they can start getting in that habit of being more disciplined?
write it down. Number one, write down what you're trying to do. That's step number one. Because many people are going to give you a goal and they've never written it down. That's a big deal. Write
Mm-hmm.
it down, get real clear about it. Figure out what the goal is, number one, and then make a description of what that goal looks like. What kind of person are you going to be? What are the actions that you take every day to achieve that? What type of person are you going to be to achieve that goal, right? That's a big deal. Then you have to understand that you have to embody that identity right now. Like now is the time to do that. It doesn't matter if whatever you've achieved, it doesn't matter. Like the way for you to get there, the way for you to start building momentum, the way for you to start like ticking things off on the list of things that have to get done is to take on that identity right now. So if you want to be a tour player, what's a tour player do every day? Like you just have to do it. You have like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I don't know what a tour player does. Okay, you have to learn. This is the way it goes. Find a coach, find somebody who's been a really good player, find whoever you have to. Like there's no handouts in this life. You actually have to do some work. So like if you want to start making progress, embody that identity right away. Like that's what you have to do. In anything, right? You want to be a ripped guy in the gym, like you got to start training like that. You got to figure that out. How am I supposed to eat? How do I sleep? How do I lift? How do I program? It doesn't matter. You want to be a business person? Figure it out. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna have to go to school, find some people that know finance. Like you got to figure these steps out. So no one's gonna hand it to you, but there's a way forward. If you identify as that person, the magic behind all of this is that the doors start to open up eventually, right? You tick one thing off, you talk to one person, you go, you watch a couple YouTube videos, it's gonna open the door, right? The path will get illuminated eventually and you just keep working every day over and over day after day after day and then the identity starts to feel real. You're not gonna feel like a damn imposter anymore, right? That's the key though, man. Like nobody's gonna hand you that identity. It's always gonna feel like you're an imposter at the start. That's just the way it goes, and that can absolutely bury you for sure. It buries many people, right? You just have to power through that until one day you're like, all right, I actually can maybe call myself a golfer. Like I feel pretty good. I'm down to a 3 handicap. I just beat a pretty good player over there. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think I've actually done enough work to where now I've convinced myself that I'm actually sort of real here.
I love that, man. I feel like we talked about Alex Hormozy before we hit record, and he kind of talks about that, like do so much work that it would be unrealistic for you not to succeed. And
Yeah.
I think, you've experienced that, I've experienced that in business and just about staying in the race. But like you said, the first part is to get clear on that. And I talked about the future self a little bit in my book too, because I think that that's a big missing piece for a lot of people is they don't get that clarity. And I remember when I was listening to your book yesterday, I felt wicked smart, by the way. I was working on my short game and listening to your book. So it was just
Let's
like just
go.
doing all the right stuff. But you were talking about the inner voice never goes away. Can you kind of expand on that and like what people, can maybe do or think about when that little, maybe what
Yeah.
would Goggins call it, like the little bitch voice, if you will? What would you recommend to someone that kind of has that negative inner dialogue and how to kind of keep battling it?
Well, you need to know what it is first, right? That's a safety mechanism. That is your fight or flight always in the background. Like you might not have shaky hands, you might not have a super high heart rate, but your brain is always scanning the environment. It's always trying to perceive what's going on, and it wants to take the path of least resistance, always. And that's always the easy thing to do, right? And so we always have to fight that. No matter what, we have to continue fighting that forever, the rest of our lives. Nobody ever gets rid of that. But we can train ourselves to for sure override it, and we can dull that thing down for sure, right? Like over time, if you hear that, like whatever it is that you're trying to do, and it says, don't do that, go do something else, and then you do it anyways, like over time, that just becomes just a little thing that goes off in your mind, and you can laugh at it. You can, like, whatever, it's not going away, but you have to understand what it is. It's just a safety mechanism to keep us from getting, eaten or chased down by a bear or something, right? That's just what it is. And it's never going away, right? That's just, it's part of our makeup as humans, it's part of our physiology. And so just recognize what it is, number one. Number two, just do it anyways. You just have to start doing it. There's no magic behind it. You've got to figure out and remember what am I, what's to be gained if I actually do the thing that I want to do that my brain is telling me not to do? What's to be gained? All right, well, I want that. So let's just keep doing this anyways and see what happens. And then, I mean, like, again, the magic behind all of that is you go through that hard thing that your brain doesn't want you to do, and you look back on it, and you're like, that wasn't even that hard. And
Hmm.
I feel pretty damn good about doing it.
Yeah, man, I feel like you should be sharing the stage with Tony Robbins at this point. I like where this is going. The next part I liked in your book a lot was expectations and keeping them high, but making sure you're only doing the things that are in your control. So like I think that in my theory is one of the reasons golfers get so mad is they have super unrealistic expectations. They think they should throw darts from 70 yards or, never miss a fairway or hit it 300 yards. And then you start looking at the stats and it's kind of gets clear. So what would you say to players like when they are setting those goals, getting clear in their future self? Where do the expectations and how do you kind of manage those so they're actually helping and not hurting you?
Yeah, just always expect positive execution. Don't worry about any other shit. Don't worry about it. Like people, again, the expectations is one of those things that gets, I mean, it's been talked about so much. And you read the book, so you understand the context that I was like, I used to talk to kids all the time who were like, Coach, I want to average a 74 this semester or whatever it was. And it was like, you're a better player than that. Why is that your expectation of,
Mm-hmm.
that's like your self-worth coming out. And so in
Mm-hmm.
that context, I don't want you to think about that stuff. Like let's just execute and see what that gets us. Like
Mm-hmm.
why wouldn't you just say I want my scoring average to be like 68? Is
Mm-hmm.
that so far out of the realm of, what's possible for you that you just won't say it? Like that to me is more of a like the expectations that I would want to work on with somebody. The shot to shot stuff, when people get mad about not pulling off a shot, I think that's more of a honestly, I think it's more of an ego thing. Like if somebody's really getting mad about not like it would just ask that person like what in your history has proven to you that you should be pulling this shot off over and over and over again. Like nothing. You're not that good, right? You're just not that good, and I know you're not because I know what tour players do, and they're not
Mm-hmm.
that good to be doing this, right? So it's just like I think it's an embarrassment thing, it's an ego thing, it's this need for approval constantly all the time with these golfers out there who are playing with their buddies. They don't want to look bad, right? So they need, and then they have the reaction, and it's like I think part of that is just theatrics, right? To make everybody know that you're just so mad that you didn't pull off that shot that you always
Mm-hmm.
pull off. It's like, come on, man. I've spent so much time around golfers that do that stuff, especially younger guys in high school and college. That's like
Yeah.
very pervasive out there in that world. But just expect positive execution. That's what you go to the golf course to do. It's the only way that you're going to actually be able to play aggressively, right? Is to have that level of self-belief like, hey, look, I'm going to take whatever game I have right now from the range. I'm going to go to the first tee. I'm going to pick my target and I'm going to expect positive execution here. And the result's just going to be whatever the result is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's really easy for me to say that, but like, that's what it really needs to be simplified down to. It has to be that way. Otherwise, I mean, where do we stop with expectations? Like, It should have been 20 feet and now it's 22 feet. It's like, no, we can't, like, it's just too much. It's too much noise
Hmm.
for our brain. It's
Yeah.
like, just expect positive execution and accept all the rest because you like golf is really hard. You have no idea what shot's going to fly out of your pad. Now you just have no idea.
Right.
So don't worry about that. Don't worry about it ever. Like just go find it and hit it again with the same idea that you will expect positive execution again. That's it.
Yeah, I was gonna say confidence is pretty fragile in this game. You had a chapter about that I like too. Like, let's say someone's kind of going through a slump or feeling like they just can't figure out what's going on. What would you say are a couple things swing related or practice or mental game that could maybe help them kind of boost that confidence up a little bit?
Yeah, in the words of Tiger, like practice, right? That was his response always to when he was going through a slump. Um, you got to know that there's ups and downs, right? Like we're not on a linear train here from wherever you are to like tour level, right? It looks like this constantly up and down, right? So if you're in a trough, like you just got to know, like, here I am at this point in my progression. Like the next move is up for sure. So I have to get back to my fundamentals. I got to get back to the basics. A lot of times when people are in a slump, they haven't been doing evaluations. They haven't been working on their fundamentals. I mean, it's stuff that's just like every
Hmm.
coach talks about. Like, where are you with all of this stuff? And if you can be like, well, you know, yeah, I haven't really done too many evaluations. I'm not keeping track of my stats, and I don't really work on my fundamentals all that much. Like,
Hmm.
somewhere in that mix, we can probably find something that's going to get you on the right track again. But you just got to remember, man, like everybody goes through that up and down. It just looks like a stock chart, right? Like
Hmm.
you're going to be down here. Like the idea is to make those troughs smaller as we go up, right? And so that's why it's so important just to, hammer away so much on your fundamentals. Work on your mindset. Like you have to understand these things about yourself, right? Do the course management work. Like that's going to make those low points way smaller.
Yeah, the course management definitely does make those because you're just not have as many doubles and blow up holes. And I like what you said too about stats and just fundamentals. Like it seems so simple, but it's amazing how many people are always looking for that quick fix on YouTube or getting one more lesson. So with stats specifically, because obviously I talk about that a lot. Like, do you recommend players looking at them a certain amount of time? Is it I had a guy say treat stats like stocks, look at them once a quarter. Like, what's kind of your take on that?
Yeah, trends. I just want trends. I don't think they
Okay.
need to be like in the weeds constantly about it because especially like, and I don't know, like I'm interested in your take on this too, but I I know a lot of college players right now who are obsessed with their strokes gain data,
Hmm.
and it doesn't to me it doesn't really matter. I don't like I think strokes gained putting. I've heard Scott Decade talk about this. Like that seems to be something that you could probably compare to other players because greens are sort of, comparable.
Hmm.
But if you're keeping track of strokes gained based on, the data of an app, that's a million people who are not playing the same golf course you're playing, right? And so the whole
Hmm.
point of strokes gained when it was developed was because we have shot link and everybody's on the same golf course and we can
That's
compare
true.
data now, right?
Yeah.
So like if I'm playing at a Muni and it's easy and it's perfect and from 100 yards or 150 yards I have X ability and then
Hmm.
we got a guy over here who's playing super hard golf course in really bad conditions and he's 150 yards and he can't hit the green. It's like now we're going to compare those two, like it's not equal at all. It's not, and
Hmm.
and so I don't think kids need to obsess over that. I don't even know how really that data is being brought together. I mean, I'm just not that smart, right? In terms of data and all that, and how they're creating those strokes gain numbers. I think the putting stuff is important. Like if I think there's an obvious trend that you're
Hmm.
not proficient from whatever distance it is. Like
Yeah.
I think that's something that you can look at and you can work on for sure. Otherwise, just look at your trends, man. Like
Hmm.
watch some of that. Like I'm way more interested in proximity, right? Like if you're keeping your proximity data, that's
Hmm.
something that I would really like to see for sure, because then that's you and the golf course that you're playing, right? And we
Hmm.
can see over time, we can see trends, right? If
Hmm.
you're actually hitting it closer or whatever. I mean, like if you're doing the things that you're trying to do, you can see that. I'm not worried about strokes gain too much. I mean, unless you're a tour player, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair. I was gonna say, I think the best way I like to use stats, and yeah, like you said, you have to realize they're not perfect. So whether you're using Arcos Decade, like there's gonna be, like you said, the course is different. You can't factor in conditions, but to me, I feel like they give you the ability to manage some of your expectations just a little bit, just because you can be like, oh, maybe I'm not hitting it. I mean, a lot of players like, oh, I should make that putt. And then you're like, maybe not. Like 50% make rate from the 8 feet or whatever, So it's like the
Yeah.
little things sometimes just to kind of curb those expectations. Cause that's why I used to get so mad is I thought I was supposed to hit all these heroic shots. And I'm like, maybe not. But I like when on the TrackMan simulator I go to, they have like a strokes gain. And you can compare it to different handicaps and you can choose different like parameters. So I'll do like 100 to 150 yard practice. If I look at my stats, those are trending down. I'll go practice 100 to 150, and then you can kind of see most shots if you're gaining, if you're losing. So it's just like kind of helpful feedback sometimes because I feel like to me, and when I talk to a lot of players, it's I should be hitting it closer. But then when you see on the thing like this is point 0.1 or you only lost 0.03 or whatever, it kind of
Yep.
helps to reset a little bit.
Yeah, man. I am curious too. I wish I had this sort of feedback from people. Are they even really that? I'm curious about expectations, right? Like I just it's been a long time since I've actually been in and around golfers who are coming up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what their actual expectations are. And I know some people are going to fly off the handle because that guy is always out there and that girl too, right? But like in the echo chamber that we live in, right? Like the social media and the YouTube and all that, like you and I are both in this a lot. We pay attention to golf. It's like, man, a lot of this stuff gets talked about a lot, and I just wonder how relevant it actually is out there with all these guys, of the 60 million people that play golf. Like, how relevant do we need to, keep talking about expectations? Do they need to be looking at their stats, or is that something more for like a tournament player?
Yeah, I would say it's more for committed golfers that are trying to improve. I don't think
Yeah.
this podcast is going to be listened to by someone that's shooting 110. I think that, I
Yeah.
think no,
Yeah, that's
no. I mean,
fair.
if it is, hopefully their future self knows they're going to be listening to this, and so they're just getting
Yeah.
ahead of it. But yeah, I think for the most part, I feel like our audiences both are attracted to golfers that are trying to take it to the next level,
Yeah.
whether that's college golf or pro or just breaking 80 for the first time. So I think that it does, like you said, it is kind of an echo chamber sometimes. So you got to know who you're talking to a little bit, but.
That's for
I feel
sure.
like more data definitely helps. Like you said, growing up in the '90s without internet like us, and it was it was kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah, I am definitely more of a less is more kind of guy when it comes to
Mm,
data for sure. I like to
yeah,
keep stats. Like I've done that whole thing for a long time. I'm in a period of time where I'm not really playing, so I'm not really keeping stats. But
I saw the swing on Instagram today, though. I mean, it looks like you could tee it up.
I can tee it up. That's fine. I don't know what I mean, 40 years in the game, man. I can tee it up.
I love it.
But I've got to a point where it was like I get here, I get the value that I can get back from this. Me personally, like I'm very physical about sports. I don't like to overanalyze things. I like to just go play. I like to try to be
Hmm.
aggressive. Like that, all of that stuff is important to me. I like to do evaluations, and there's certain things that I like to evaluate. The stats part of it to me is just kind of like the icing. Like I can look at it and be
Hmm.
cool with it, but I'm not going to obsess over it for sure.
Hmm. Well, let's kind of switch gears because you're coaching some unbelievable players, and obviously you've worked with a lot of college players. Make sure, guys, if you haven't checked out his book yet, The College Golfer. Again, you don't have to be a college golfer to benefit from it. To me, there was just as much life lessons in there, but I think it's great for the golf game as well. But obviously, that's led to you coaching some college players, some professionals. So, what's it like, kind of working with really high level players? Like you said, you've been on the road this past summer. What are maybe some surprising things we don't know about professional golf and what you've learned from a coach?
Yeah. Well, man, a lot of different things. I would say at the highest level, I spent a lot of time on LPGA this summer, and what I saw from the players out there was a lot of simplicity. There's not a lot of I mean, we talked about it a little bit before we came on. Being on the road like they are, 20, 30, 35 events, whatever it is, they've got to keep it quite simple. And
Hmm.
yes, there are times on the road when a player needs to have a proper practice session and they're going to go through all their stuff. They're going to check all their fundamentals. They're going to do all of their posture. They're going to do the ball position. They're going to do all that stuff. But a lot of the time, it's not like that, man. They've got a couple things that they work on. They've got a very clean and a very efficient warm up. A lot of them have a very, similar sort of cool downs deal that they do. But there's not a lot of like, I mean, there's a lot of different things I can say about this. It's not what you think, right? Like if you think tour players are out there just grinding away, hitting balls constantly and working on their skills, like that's not the way it is at all. Like they've obviously done a ton of work, but this is like in tournament season, it's totally
Hmm.
different, man. Got to conserve energy. They're way more focused on execution than they are on technique. Way, way more, right? Like I mean, I've stood next to Nelly when she was warming up multiple times, and it is super simple, man. It is quick. It's 30, 40 minutes. She might have an alignment stick down. She's just, hitting tight draws over and over again. Then
Hmm.
she's gone, man. The putting thing is exactly the same. Like she'll chalk a line, hit some, make sure her line's good, go through, hit some longer putts, and then she's off. Like she's definitely a player that's, like a 45-minute warm up, and don't quote me on that, but like she likes a quicker warm up for sure.
Hmm.
Some of the other players, like the player I was working with likes a little bit more deliberate warm up for sure. Likes to hit on all the areas, likes to check on certain fundamentals, short game and putting and in the full swing, all that stuff, every single round, right? But it's just a clean routine
Mm.
and very efficient, right? And so that's kind of a thing where you go to a college tournament or an AM event. I mean, like you're gonna see people all over the place looking, like they don't really know what they're doing. The warm up might be different from time to time. Like who knows, right?
Yeah.
But like you go to a tour practice area and like they have all the time in the world to set this up. Like they can warm up for 3 hours if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But it's like they are very efficient about what they do, man. And it's like creatures of habit, yes, all of that, but definitely way more focused on execution. It's tournament season. They're not, some of them are out there working on positions here and there, but not from what I saw. And I
Hmm.
spent a lot of time out there. It's very much execution based stuff.
That's great though. I hope people can apply that, because that's what no amateur golfer is going to figure out the mechanics more than a pro is going to, before it.
Right.
It's like I wish more golfers would have a set pre-round warm-up routine and just like you said, focus on execution instead of technique. You mentioned kind of like they have cool down and like warm-ups. Like do you find that they do a lot before the actual like warm-up session? Like what are they doing like to activate the
Yeah.
body? Because I had a few
A
different
lot.
fitness coaches, and I feel like that's been a big thing. Is like they're doing more of that almost than the actual hitting of golf balls.
So a couple of them, like Lydia Ko will come out and she'll do her whole warm up like on the range, so you get to see what she's up to.
Oh,
But
gotcha. Okay.
she's got bands and she'll do 20 minutes or 15 minutes with. She's got a
Mm,
trainer on the range with her, and they go through this whole thing.
mm-hmm.
But most of the ladies go to the workout area. Like there's something like that set up. But for
Mm-hmm.
sure they're doing activation stuff, right? Like so they're getting head to toe, they're getting activated. Usually band work, some core stuff, just getting it going. Maybe a jump rope, maybe just to
Mm-hmm.
get the heart rate going a little bit. But yeah, they're getting the body activated for sure. And I would say the majority of players are doing that before they do any like they'll get to the first like their first range ball and they're like they could probably hit driver, no problem.
Yeah.
Whereas like a guy like me, it's like that ain't happening. You know what I mean? Like
I
I
mean, you're
need,
almost champion story age, so you don't
yeah,
go
dude,
dragging
seriously.
everybody down.
Yeah, I need 30 to 50 balls before I can even think about hitting
Right.
that driver.
Yeah,
But
that makes
yeah,
sense though. So they focus a lot on the activation, and then by the time
yeah,
they do hit balls, that's why they can probably, like you said, some of them can be a little more efficient because they're not really feeling it out. They've already kind of warmed up, it sounds like.
yeah, and it's their job. Not everybody can do that for sure.
Correct.
Can't spend 45 minutes doing a warm up, but they're doing it, right? And so that's a whole thing now. It didn't used to
Hmm.
be that way.
Yeah.
It is now for sure. I would say the majority of players are doing that. I maybe all of them for all I know, but you can't really see from where we were coaching. But like some of them do
Hmm.
it on the range, and you can see what they're doing. And I happen to know a couple routines. So yeah,
Yeah.
for a lot of people that don't exercise, it would be tiring. It would tire you
Sure.
out
Yeah.
for sure. So
What do they do in middle of the round? I'm curious what kind of food, nutrition, like what because that's huge. That's the thing I started to really, late 30s here started to kick in. I'm like, man, you just can't eat trash during the round. It's 5, 6 hours. It's hot in Arizona. Like you got to be dialed. You got to be eating and drinking. What are you seeing from the best players there in terms of fitness,
depends.
nutrition?
Yeah, everybody's different. A lot of people just have like a bar or two in the bag. Some people have a whole crew traveling with them, family. Some have their mom like making sandwiches for them.
Love it. Mom
Um,
sandwiches always hit better.
Seriously, and it's just calories, dude. Honestly, it's nothing special. It's nothing,
Uh-huh.
it's nothing that's out of the ordinary. It's just they're just keeping their calories up for sure, so they can, maintain some level of energy. And the hydration's key. There, a lot of them are using like Element and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Just throw it in the bottle, shake it up, just to make sure you stay hydrated. But it's
Yeah.
nothing fancy. You just have to make sure you're doing it.
Yeah, that's the thing, doing it. I had a guy on the show last year. He's on the Corn Ferry Tour, and he's one of the more fit guys out there. And he just would bring like his meal prep. He'd bring like steak and sweet
Yeah.
potato, or like chicken and rice. He's eating like full meals out there. So I didn't know if you saw anything funny like that.
Not quite like that, and I think I love when dudes do that kind of thing. I think that's a
Hmm.
little bit overboard. So long as you're just keeping some calories in your bag,
Yeah.
and like you just want to avoid that cognitive decline, right?
Hmm.
That comes with fatigue and all that. Other than that, it's like there's no secret there for sure.
Yeah. What about post round?
Post round is cleaning up mistakes, a lot of them for sure, like from the round. So Rarely will a tour player not do something after a round. At least
Hmm.
that's what I noticed. Like some for sure. Depends on when you tee off too. If you tee off at 3 in the afternoon, you're probably not going to grind it out till 9 o'clock at night.
Sure.
But most of those players find something to kind of touch up on after their round. Can't speak for everybody, but some are more deliberate. Some might
Hmm.
take an hour post round, right, and go through like a version of their pre-round warm up just to touch on everything again. Some will go and do just one specific area. Might just be putting, might just be short game, something like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, this is their job, man. They're very serious about it. They
Yeah.
don't skip. They don't, skip steps along the way. They're very diligent about it, man. They know it's like that's their livelihood, and that's like that sort of work ethic is what got them there in the first place. And they're serious about it, man. Like, if there's something they need to clean up, they're gonna go do it. They're not just gonna skip it.
Hmm. So as a performance coach, then what are you like working on them with between rounds or after rounds? Or what are some things you hear from these players that might surprise the amateur golfer? Because I feel
Oh
like
yeah, they're
sometimes we
thinking.
have a little bit more in common.
They're thinking all the same things that you are, for sure,
Yeah.
all the time, all the time. So you might have a round where you're not executing well. I mean, that could very well be, look, I'm having a hard time with execution right now. So we just
Hmm.
talk about it. It's like these are the same things. We're all just people, man, and like we all have the same thoughts. And if you pull hook one into a tree, I don't care if you're a tour player, I don't care if you're a 25 handicap. The next tee shot, I mean, like unless you are just a proper hero, you're going to have some sort of, something's going to come up in your mind. Like, I hope I don't pull
Mm.
hook this thing again, right? Like, yeah, these are tour players. They're all really good about not dwelling on those sort of things, but it happens for sure. So, were we committed to targets? All this stuff that we talk about, all the stuff that we post about. How was your execution in the moment? What were you thinking about? Did you have, mental lapse? Like one thing about tour players you got to remember is that they got their shit together, right? You don't have to really worry about too much, right? It's a very pure form of golf at that level for
Hmm.
most of them, right? And like they are professional athletes operating at a very high level. So it's like there's no real BS going on. It's not, they're not whining, they're not complaining. It's just like if they
Hmm.
see something going on in their game, they're going to want to talk about it. Number one, could be, a skill-based thing, could be a mindset sort of thing, like could be an in the moment execution thing. It's little stuff, man. And they're all very well coached at this point. So like you bring something up and it's like, yeah, I got that. I got it.
Mm.
Good to
Do you
go.
yeah, like obviously most players can't have a mental coach with them all the time. So if they're kind of feeling that, do you just recommend players to do something after the round sometimes too? Is it talking it out with someone? Is it writing down? Like what would you say if you just kind of feel like, because I used to do that too. I used to like get in my head a lot. And I feel like for me, like I just like do a voice note or like a journal, just like get it all out there. Obviously, you sometimes work
Yep.
with a coach, but anything you've found for
Depends.
the everyday golfer that doesn't have a coach?
Boy, it just depends, right? Like it depends on your on who you are mentally, for sure. Like your
Mm,
personality. Yeah, if you need to do like the data dump afterwards, yeah, go write it down. Uh, Give yourself a minute though, too. Like you might not be able
mm,
to actually properly do that dump until the next day. Like I'm pretty intense. I come from an intense family. Like I can't really just sit down. Like if I have a poor round, I can't just sit down like an hour later and figure it out. Like I need a day or
mm,
so. Like it really gets to me, right? It
mm,
can for sure. And I've been doing this for a long time. Now, if it's just like if you have a good round and you have a couple mistakes, like yeah, you can go figure that out. But if you have like a round where you really didn't capitalize on good opportunities and perhaps you miss out on something like a cut and
mm,
it really cuts deep, like give yourself a day.
mm.
Don't take all that emotion and just dump it out on the pages, right? Like don't do that. Give yourself a day, then maybe talk to somebody or just write it all down. If you don't have somebody to talk to, just forget about it for a while, man. It's going to be
Mm.
there for you. But like if you wait a day,
Yeah.
if you give it a proper 24 hours, you know how it is,
Hmm.
man. This thing is going
I
to be
do.
gone.
I
It's
do.
going to be so much less of an emotional hit.
Yeah, I know everyone's like, just stop caring. I'm like, that's terrible advice because I want to do good. I didn't sign up to pay
Yeah,
$250 for a 2-day event to play shitty.
that's
So it's
right.
like you just have to learn. Everybody's different though. Like you said, some players can just get over it super fast. Some players like me and you, a little more intense and need a little time.
Depends on the level of the letdown, honestly. I
Mm,
mean, like we talked about expectations a while ago. It doesn't like we all get it, man. Especially if you've been in this game a long time, or if you've done any sort of coaching and you talk to people about expectations, like you get that.
mm,
But that cannot replace like proper expectations. Does not replace what it feels like to miss a 4-footer to make a cut or
mm,
something. Like that's a real emotional letdown, and you need some time to process that. That is a fact. That's never going to change. That's just like that goes across all levels of life. Like when something like that happens and you don't hit on an opportunity, like you've reached a new level of sort of letdown. It's not just like you made a bogey when you know, with the boys, right? Or
Sure.
you shot 78 and you usually shoot 72. I don't, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
if there's a big letdown, you got to give yourself some time to process that for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. I know we unfortunately have the off season coming up for some of the population here. I don't know. What's it like in New Mexico? Is it do you guys
Oh, it's
have
Andy. Yeah, it's really good
yeah,
right now. Best time of the
what
year here.
so this will air probably mid-November. Do you guys have like a clear off season? You got snow where you're at?
It's possible. Like where I'm at in New Mexico, we're at 4,000 feet, but we're still in the
Ooh, okay.
south. But
Gotcha.
we can get some snow. But for the most part, I'm able to play pretty much year round.
Okay.
So we'll see, man. Like I might come over your way. I'll probably be in Arizona a little bit, you know, here and there, see some family. I doubt I'll do too much playing, but I'll definitely keep practicing for sure. Keep the
Hmm.
game sort of warm, you know, in case something comes up.
What would you say to players to do mental wise off season?
Oh, pick something to learn for sure.
Mm.
Like get off your phone and read a book. I know like the
Maybe
reading
the
rate.
college golfer. I don't know.
Well, sure, start there if you want to. But like people aren't reading anymore. It's just all visual, right? It's all like YouTube and this and that. Like that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like we're all there. But pick up a book and go deep into a subject. Just do it because if you do that, like you got to understand that you're going to be an outlier.
Mm.
Most people aren't doing that for sure. So if you want to be a competitive player, you want to, you know, elevate yourself in this game, find a couple mindset books or whatever you want to read. And just like it doesn't have to be in golf, right? There's a million really good books. I mean, I think I learned the majority of my mindset stuff was like you know, you mentioned Tony Robbins earlier. Well, I started with Tony 25 years ago. It was like
Mm.
it was outside the realm of golf for sure. And then there's
Totally.
business books, and then there's like military leaders, and then like all this stuff. Like you can get an idea of what it's like to have a proper mindset without constantly being just like zeroed in the echo chamber that is like online golf. Like just find a
Hmm.
really good mindset book or go read like Atomic Habits, right? James Cleary, like just James Clear. Just go figure out how to do like some proper behavior change. Figure out how to set your life up so that you can achieve a goal. Like these things take time. You
Hmm.
can't just flip a switch by watching a YouTube video. Like you need like a book goes into depth, right? And you need that depth sometimes to understand the steps that you have to take. So use the off season. Like you want to learn about fitness, you want to learn about nutrition, you want to learn about behavior change, mindset, whatever. Like pick something and go
Hmm.
for it. Go deep on it.
That's great advice. I have a handful of books that have kind of shaped my life over here. What are maybe a couple you'd recommend to players that are not quite on the mindset stuff yet and they know they need to get started? Could be the high level stuff or could be, biographies, anything you find in 3 to 5 books.
Let's see. I love all of the flow state stuff, right? So there's the art of impossible. There's that's oh, what's his name? Stephen something or other. Um, Stephen Kotler. Okay, so Stephen Kotler has a series of books about flow, right? And he really does a great job of, and it has nothing to do with golf. Like none of them
Hmm.
are, right? It's he spent a bunch of time working with adventure athletes, so surfers, rock climbers, like Red Bull guys. These are these dudes who are experts at entering into a flow state. And I hope this isn't too like woo woo for people,
Not at
but I
all.
mean, like there's real science behind this now, right? But the reason why adventure athletes are so good about this is because the majority of their stuff is life and death. That happens to be a really good way to put yourself into a flow state if the challenge isn't exceedingly out of your capability, right? You have to
Hmm.
meet that challenge skills ratio. So
Hmm.
if the challenge is just a little bit outside of your skill set and there's like high consequence, it's like those guys get plunged into flow like that, right?
Hmm.
Especially like rock climbers. And so they come back and they describe that in great detail, and he goes into it in his books, right? And then like it goes just beyond that. It like goes into the life sort of skills that these athletes are kind of like goal setting and this and that, like the lifestyle that they're living. Just an awesome sort of aside for a golfer who's
Hmm.
trying to operate in a flow state,
Right.
right? And so like that's Rick Sessinghouse, that's his whole thing, like flow code
Yep.
golf, all of that,
Yep. He
like
was a great guest.
for sure. Okay, so a lot of the work that he did for sure came from guys like Jamie Wheel and Steven Kotler. He learned from those guys. I know he did for sure. And so these are the like sort of not the pioneers, right? But these guys are deep in this world.
We'll just
So
say the
find
Godfather of Flow because it sounds cool.
the Godfather of Flow.
I mean, Stephen Col I don't know, it just sounds cool. Let's just
Oh yeah,
say,
Steven Kotler. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they all piggybacked off like the guy. What's his name? Chick Set Me High. He wrote the book. I've got it on here somewhere. It's called Flow. The book
Oh,
is called
okay.
Flow. It's old, but he was the one that actually coined the term and brought it to the mainstream. And then
Gotcha.
these other guys kind of piggybacked off that. And then
Hmm.
guys like Rick brought it into golf and like business and
Hmm.
that sort of thing. So Stephen Kotler or Jamie Wheel, those guys have written a bunch of books. You can just look them up. I would
Hmm.
start there for sure if you're a golfer and you want to actually kind of learn how to think a little bit better. I would probably, do yourself a favor and get out of golf for a minute. If you're obsessed
Yeah,
with golf, just
I
step out of
agree.
golf for sure.
Yeah, that's very true, man. Like you said, not enough people they're just consuming the 8 second content here and there, and it's like you got to just sometimes go deep. So I think it's a great off season, and obviously time to learn. But I know that there's a lot of online stuff for golfers. You got a new online golf school too. So before getting to the last question, tell us a little bit more about how you're building your community and helping players around the world.
Yeah, so that'll be a new thing. I just got it started. We're doing like a beta test right now. I've got about 20 people in there. It's going to be a place where all of my learning materials are. So, like, I've got two books right now and a third coming. Those will all be accessible within the community.
You
I've
didn't
also got
even tell me about the third book, man. Congrats.
well, thanks to they're just ebooks, right? So I'm just, it's just
Don't
like,
say the word just. You're still writing books, man.
yeah, well, got to do it, man. I got to stay busy, right? So that'll be available. Plus my master classes in there. So there's a lot of high performance stuff available if you want to go in and learn. If you want to do a deep dive on the things that we've been talking about, that will be there. But it's really like these communities on school. It's really a place where you can just kind of hang out with people who are doing the same thing that you want to do, and so that's where
Hmm.
I'll be hanging out. And I'm not going to be bringing like lectures, like day-to-day lectures. It's like I want that to be a place where they can come and I can collaborate with them, see what they're
Hmm.
working on. It's kind of the way I coached, in college for all those years was like I would force my players to do stuff on their own and then bring it to me. You want to make a practice plan, you want to show me what you're doing with your nutrition. This is how you want to work out. Like bring me something first.
Hmm.
So that's sort of the collaboration that I want, but that's where I want to hang out. I want to help people sort of progress from where they are. I just know, man, growing up where I grew up, in the time I grew up, there just wasn't access to like, you know, really high level coaching. And again, I'm going to bring a certain, experience to the table. And I want to be able to share that with people at a reasonable cost, right? Like, so it's just, we can pull the curtain back on performance and show me what you're doing, and I can show you how to level that up. That's really what I
Hmm.
want to do in the community. And it's just where I'm going to hang out, right? So it's like a feed, it's like a social media feed, and you can just post stuff. And eventually, hopefully, the community itself will also help answer questions or give feedback. Some of these communities out there get huge, and so it's hard for one person to manage the whole thing. But the idea is you want to build a community, you want to build a culture so that everybody can sort of collaborate together on that. And you can get feedback from all the other people who are in there. So that's where I'm starting. That's hopefully where I can, bring a bunch of people together. That's where I want to coach for the most part, right? Is, get a pretty decent sized group of people together, build a culture, and hopefully we can get some good players going.
Fantastic, man. Well, yeah, I'll definitely link to that in the show notes and encourage people to check it out because I've loved our interviews together and your content's great. So that kind of leads to the last question, though. Let's say all that great content got deleted, your Instagram's gone, YouTube, books. You just got one sentence you can describe on your philosophy for the mindset and kind of mastering the mental game. What would you say?
Boy, is that a good question. I would say above all else, train yourself to go all in. When you're skill building is one thing, but when you have to execute, you got to trust yourself, man. You just have to be all in and let it go. You have to. We already know what happens when you don't do that, right? You have to let it go. You got to trust yourself and you got to be totally okay with what happens on the other end. Because on the other end of that, if you actually do that, right? If you just let go and you're aggressive and you trust yourself, then you can get some authentic feedback. And that's everything, man. And you can sleep at night saying that you went all in and you did everything in your power to execute. Like, doesn't matter what we're talking about either. It could be golf, it could be anything. Just take whatever your skill set is and go for it.
Fantastic. Well, James, I really appreciate you being back on the show, man. Always fun conversations and wishing you and your school and everything that you're doing over there all the success. So thanks again, man.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. Anytime.